Disrespect rarely begins as an explosion. It usually arrives quietly, disguised as a joke, a tone, a small dismissal, or a moment where someone tests how much access they have to you. Most people react instinctively. They explain themselves. They defend. They escalate. Or they swallow it and carry the weight silently. None of those responses restore authority. They only reveal where your emotional center lives. Stoicism offers a different approach. Not louder words. Not clever comebacks. One calm sentence, delivered once, with no heat and no follow-up. This is not about winning an argument. It is about ending a pattern. When you respond correctly, the situation does not continue because there is nothing left to push against. The power of the response comes from its restraint, not its force. This video is about that response. The exact line, the psychology behind it, and the discipline required to say it without anger, explanation, or performance. If you have ever walked away from a moment wishing you had handled it differently, this is for you. Not to dominate, not to impress, but to remain unshaken and unchallenged in your own frame. Disrespect repeats because it is rarely about the other person's personality. It is about access. Human beings unconsciously test boundaries to see what behavior is tolerated. When a line is crossed and nothing changes, the nervous system records that information. The behavior is logged as safe to repeat. This is not cruelty. It is conditioning. Many people were trained early to keep peace, to explain themselves, or to absorb discomfort to avoid conflict. That training creates a predictable response under pressure. Others sense this predictability long before you do. They notice hesitation, delayed reactions, nervous laughter, or over-clarification. These signals tell them you are still deciding whether you are allowed to hold a boundary. The issue persists because the response is inconsistent. One day you tolerate it. Another day you explode. From the outside, that looks unstable. From the inside, it feels confusing and unfair. Stoicism removes blame from both sides and replaces it with clarity. You are not weak. You are untrained in containment. The goal is not to change others. It is to make your internal response so steady that the pattern collapses on its own. When your behavior becomes predictable in the right way, people adjust. Those who respect you stay. Those who rely on access without consequence drift away. This is not loss. It is alignment. The repetition ends when your response stops feeding it. Not through emotion, but through calm consistency. Most people fall into the same traps when disrespect appears. The first is speed. They respond too fast, driven by emotion, trying to regain control in the moment. Fast reactions often sound defensive, even when the words are reasonable. The second trap is explanation. They over-clarify their intentions, hoping to be understood. This hands the other person a position of authority, as if your boundaries require approval. The third trap is sarcasm or humor. It feels safer, but it weakens the signal. Disrespect delivered with a smile is still disrespect, and joking responses invite repetition. Another common mistake is delayed confrontation. You replay the moment later, build resentment, then bring it up emotionally at an unrelated time. This confuses the issue and shifts focus from behavior to feelings. There is also the trap of silence without structure. You say nothing, but your body language leaks tension. This communicates fear, not strength. Finally, there is escalation. Raising your voice, listing grievances, or attacking character. This feels powerful briefly, but it exposes reactivity and invites counterattack. Every trap shares the same flaw. They move you out of your frame and into theirs. Stoicism is not passive. It is precise. The right response is slow, simple, and contained. It does not argue facts or demand respect. It states reality once and allows consequences to follow naturally. Avoiding these traps is not about being clever. It is about protecting your internal order when pressure arrives unexpectedly. Stoic philosophy treats disrespect as an external event, not an internal verdict. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that another person's behavior does not touch his character unless he allows it. Epictetus taught that control begins and ends with our response. Seneca warned that anger gives others power over us by placing our emotions in their hands. Together, these ideas form a framework of calm authority. Authority does not come from dominance. It comes from self-command. When you respond without agitation, you demonstrate that your nervous system is not available for manipulation. This is frame mastery. You decide what matters and what does not. Stoicism does not suppress emotion. It organizes it. You acknowledge the signal, then choose the response that preserves dignity. A Stoic response is brief because it does not need reinforcement. It is clear because ambiguity invites negotiation. And it is final because repetition weakens boundaries. The goal is not to correct the other person. It is to correct the dynamic. When you act from principle instead of impulse, the interaction changes shape. You become harder to provoke, not because you are indifferent, but because your values are settled. Calm authority feels different to others. It is not loud. It does not seek agreement. It stands. This is why a single sentence, delivered correctly, can end a pattern that has lasted years. The words matter, but the state behind them matters more. Stoicism trains that state until it becomes natural. The core principle is this: boundaries are statements, not conversations. The line you say is simple: don't speak to me like that. Nothing more. No apology. No explanation. No follow-up. This sentence works because it names behavior without attacking identity. It is present-focused, not historical. Psychologically, it interrupts the pattern without escalating it. The wording is neutral. The tone is calm and level. Not cold, not angry. Just factual. Timing matters. You say it immediately after the behavior, not later. Delay turns boundaries into complaints. Restraint matters even more. You say it once. Repetition signals doubt. After the line, you pause. Silence does the rest. Many people feel tempted to soften it. They add qualifiers to seem kind. This weakens the signal. Respectful people do not need cushioning. Disrespectful people exploit it. The power of the line is that it does not demand change. It assumes it. If the behavior stops, the interaction continues. If it does not, you disengage. This teaches consequences without threats. The body language supports the words. Steady posture. Relaxed face. No leaning forward. No pointing. Your nervous system leads. The other person will often react with surprise, defensiveness, or jokes. None require response. You have already spoken. The method is complete when you stop managing their reaction. This is where most people fail. They explain because silence feels uncomfortable. Stoicism treats discomfort as a signal to remain still. Over time, this response rewires how people treat you. Not because they fear you, but because your boundaries are clear and enforced quietly. One line, one time. Calm delivery. Then space. That is the method. After you say the line, expect internal discomfort. Your body may want to smooth things over. This urge comes from old conditioning. Let it pass. Externally, reactions vary. Some people apologize immediately. Accept it and move on. Do not reward with warmth or punishment with coldness. Normalcy is the goal. Others test again subtly. Treat it the same way. State the boundary once more on a different occasion or disengage. A few will push harder, attempting to provoke emotion. This is a final test. Do not debate. Do not justify. Distance is your answer. Guilt may appear later. You may worry about being rude or misunderstood. Stoicism reminds you that clarity feels harsh only to those who benefit from ambiguity. Silence after the boundary is not hostility. It is completion. You are not responsible for their feelings about your limits. Overcorrecting reopens the door. Explaining turns boundaries into requests. Let the behavior speak. Over time, you will notice fewer tests. Not because people changed, but because the cost became clear. This is quiet authority. It does not chase resolution. It allows it. There are moments when words are unnecessary. Repeated disrespect after a clear boundary indicates a deeper issue. At that point, silence and distance communicate more than language. Withdrawal is not avoidance. It is selection. Stoicism teaches that not every interaction deserves engagement. Boundaries protect interactions that matter. Disengagement ends those that do not. The distinction is intention. Boundaries are offered when there is value to preserve. Disengagement occurs when value is gone. Advanced restraint means recognizing which tool to use. Silence without resentment is powerful. It removes stimulus entirely. Distance without drama prevents erosion. You do not announce withdrawal. You enact it. Reduce access. Shorten interactions. Redirect energy. This is not punishment. It is alignment with reality. Stoic authority is measured by what you do not tolerate, not by what you confront loudly. Knowing when not to speak is as important as knowing what to say. This approach requires an identity shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who manages reactions and start seeing yourself as someone who sets conditions. Respect becomes normal, not negotiated. You speak less, but your words carry weight because they are backed by action. This is self-mastery, calm, predictable, unavailable to manipulation. When you live this way, your presence changes. You do not chase understanding. You embody clarity. If this perspective resonates, stay connected to Anonymous Achiever. These ideas are explored here without noise or performance. Apply them slowly. Precision beats intensity. Your authority grows the moment you stop over-explaining and start standing still.